The Kenya National Archives is situated at the edge of the Central Business District in downtown Nairobi, along Mboya Avenue next to Ambassador Hotel. For many, this is a central place to meet up, the easiest location to master for those trying to familiarize themselves with this big city. Built in the 1930s, it has gradually developed from being the commercial bank to being the custodian of 60 million documentation that is crucial to Kenya's historical value. Despite all the treasures in this building being kept open to the public by the law, a big percentage of Kenyans have never stepped foot inside this building. The Kenya National Archives was established by an act of the Parliament in 1965 and was placed under the office of the Vice President and the Minister of Home Affairs and is now under the Ministry of Sports, Culture and Heritage in the current form of government. The Joseph Murumbi Gallery, named after the second Vice President of the Republic of Kenya, who was also the first Minister of Foreign Affairs, welcomes you at the entrance, with the ground floor filled with artifacts he mostly collected touring the world and generously donated them to this establishment. On this first floor, the gallery is filled with breathtaking pieces of history that makes you drift away and travel back in time.
That one is the visit of Theodore Roosevelt of the United States of America, actually the president, when he visited Kenya in 1930. Percy Gerond of 1909 to 1912. Actually, that is the time when the British protectorate were now putting their feet on the ground properly. Sir Evelyn Barings is actually the most feared governor in the lifetimes of the British, and is the one who started the state of emergency in 1952, which ended in 1959. The Right Honorable Malcolm Donald was the last governor that shared power with the Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. Actually, he was an executive president, and we had got executive prime minister. That is Dedan Kimathi. Actually, he was the leader of the Mau Mau, and he was termed by the British protectorate that he was a terrorist, and he was hanged to death. And actually where he is buried is not known up to date. Mzee Jomo Kenyatta was arrested in 1952 after the start of the state of emergency that was started by Sir Evelyn Barings. And that is the last time he talked, and then he was detained for 7 good years in prison.
These walls have confined the greatest eras in the history of Kenya, bearing documentation that tells the history of leaders, happenings, boundaries, origins, and the whole struggle to civilization and independence. On every 20th of October, Kenyans celebrate Mashujaa Day, many not really inclined to the struggle endured by the founding fathers in fighting for the nation from the colonial government. For instance, the famous freedom fighter Dedan Kimathi is a tale just narrated to history students in classes. The revolutionary leader led the armed military struggle against the British colonial regime in Kenya in the 1950s until his execution in 1957, which led to the decline of the uprising against the colonial government. He was captured on the 21st October 1956 and charged with possession of a firearm and ammunition, detained and executed a year later.
This is the letter that Dedan Kimathi wrote to Father Mario of Catholic Mission of Nyeri. Actually, he was trying to see what was ahead of him. He had seen his life was in danger, so he wanted the father to take care of his family and children when he is not there.
To keep his memory alive for generations present and those to come, this monument, put up under the Dedan Kimathi Foundation, is part of the government's effort to celebrate those who died fighting for Kenya's freedom.
The statue was put there in 2007 by the then President Mwai Kibaki, and it reflects exactly how Dedan Kimathi Waishuiri used to be. For example, you can see him holding a gun and a machete, and he's dreaded. He has got dreadlocks. That is why we remember people that way, and we put him there so that whatever he used to stand for can still be inspired by the current generation and future generation. For example, Dedan Kimathi used to say that it is better for you to die standing on your feet rather than living for a long time as a slave. And that is the very serious message that he used to give to the British colonial.
Thomas Joseph Odhiambo Mboya, famously known as Tom Mboya, was a Kenyan trade unionist, educator, Pan-Africanist, author, independence activist, and statesman who was one of the founding fathers of the Republic of Kenya. Another celebrated Shujaa whose reign and power was short-lived in the history of Kenya. Mboya was not only a legend in Kenya. His fight for independence and equality stretched across seas, and in March 1960, he was on the front page of a weekly magazine in London, The Times, as among the 100 top influential leaders in the world. An article that many claim did not go well with other African leaders back home. Tom Mboya was in the front line in fighting for Kenyans to have a chance to acquire higher learning in the United States through his friendship to John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States of America. He wrote this letter to request for the consideration for Kenyan university students to get a chance to study in the United States.
So he was erected there by the Prime Minister of that time, Raila Amolo Odinga, and Mwai Kibaki, who was the president. But as you can see, the statue also has been very controversial. The reason why it was put there is simply that to reflect the issues to do with assassination of, he was assassinated in 1969, 5th of July. So the things that he used to do, he was the member of MP of this place. Those good things that he used to do before he was killed at the age of 39 years is what we want the future generation to inspire the generation to come.
This is the first presidential seat, a valuable piece of Kenya's history that will live on for generations to see, in the safety of this institution, among other precious items from the past, present, and perhaps more from the future.
We've had issues where we have a national, for example, international dispute, boundary disputes and what have you. The National Archives has come in handy to provide. Now, I remember I've mentioned we have those historical maps. Like a good example, we had a one with the Migingo and what have you. So how do we solve this? We have so many disputes. How do you solve this? Because these issues didn't start yesterday. How do you solve this? We can only be able to really solve these disputes when we have documented evidence. And most of the legal systems, actually, they depend on the documented evidence or somebody, an eyewitness who was there. But we don't have the eyewitness who were there when these boundaries were being demarcated and what have you. But we have our documents. We have really come in handy. I might not really go into details, but we have come in handy really to solve national and international disputes in the country. Yeah.
In terms of peaceful
coexistence, yeah.
Yes. How do you come in? I understand there's the issue of boundaries. Maybe there are Kenyans who are living at the boundaries and the issue with boundaries with the other countries. But I feel like every country has a national archive. So just in details or maybe briefly.
Yeah, like I was talking with some leaders from the western, the West Pokot and Turkanas and what have you. We have had a number of them coming here. You know, there's a problem in terms of boundaries where our county reaches. A good example is West Pokot and Turkana. Their leaders actually they've been coming here, and we've been giving them a lot of information actually, which we believe is going to help them solve such a disputes. Yeah.
The Kenya National Archives has played a huge role in resolving national and international disputes and helped maintain order and peace in the country.
The records actually, they are important. They give us a reflection of who we are as a people. The archival materials, more especially, they are the memory of the nation. Because you lose these records we'll not know who we are as a people. We lose our identity. So the record that we have here in the Kenya National Archives, number one, they give us it's a memory of the nation. Number two, they give us identity as a people. You know, this is who we are as Kenyans. Yeah, we might have had challenges, but we have been able to stand as a people through what is documented in the Kenya National Archives. Now, the other value of these records, actually, they are very important in terms of research. We receive researchers from all over the world to come and do research. They're important in terms of doing research. And more important, they are also very important in the legal aspect. From the legal aspect, as I have said, people have disputes, people have disputes in terms of land, other issues. People have disputes in terms of from the district level. These records are important in solving such a dispute. And again, we can even take them to the national level. The record that we have in the Kenya National Archives can also help us to solve even international, national disputes.
Millions of Kenyans do not utilize the resources offered here, and this remains a huge loss to the young generation.
The first cabinet and the swearing in of the first president, the videos and the films, we have them here in the audiovisual section and the department. Then we have a microfilm section, which I've said is also another unique where we capture, transform our records from paper into the microfilm format. Yeah.
The hundreds of Kenyans who pass by this building every day have no clear picture of what is harbored in here.
Nimekaa Nairobi karibu miaka 10 na kila siku napita hapa archives. Sijawahi ingia ndani, maana sijui nini iko ndani. Pengine watu wa archives hawajafanya sensitization ya kutosha ili watu wajue kinagaubaga kinachopatikana hapo ndani. Kulingana mimi, archive ni just a building. So itakana watoke nje watueleze hii archive ni nini na ina nini.
Mambo ya archives, according to me, mimi huwa personally naona kama ni store ya Kenya. Yaani mahali wanaweka vitu zao za zamani zinawekwa hapo. So sijaifikiria hata siku moja kuangalia nijue nini huwa inafanyika ndani.
Natamani kuingia kwa sababu umejua hii building ni kubwa sana, hadi ukikuja hapa unaweza tamani kujua chenye kinaendelea hapo ndani ni nini. Lakini unakuja tu hapa kungoja mtu hivyo basi. Sijaitaona hata labda maybe milango imefunguliwa. Oga nikifika hapa tu milango imefungwa hivyo.
It has been more than 50 years since Kenya acquired its independence, and despite a huge part of the journey being told and kept here, very few have had the chance to walk through history.
Archives sijaingia ndani. Naonanga imefungwa all the time. Actually hapa inakuanga a meeting point. Ukitaka kupata mtu haraka unamwambia niko archives, niko hapa mbele. So
unatamani kuingia?
Yeah, naweza tamani kuingia, but actually sijaijua ni nini iko ndani. So that curiosity tu ndio naweza taka nijue ni nini iko ndani.
Huku niliingianga mwaka 2018 siku ya Kenyatta Day. Na nilipoingia huko nikapanda, ukaniambia unaweza tembea popote kule ukachionee mashujaa. Kuna sanamu za mashujaa huko wenye walikufa na wenye wako hai. Sana sana ma president.
Mimi mwenyewe nishaingia ndani mara mingi. Kule ndani ni mahali pazuri. Vitu za kale na za enzi za kitambo zimehifadhiwa kule ndani, na sinatakiwa watu wote waingie ndani na wasome, waone vile watu wa kitambo walikuwa na kaa.
Kwanza archive inajulikana sana hii area. Watu wengi wakiwa na plan zao za kukutana, archive is the central because ni uwanja mzuri na kuna pale pa kukaa na pia kuna atmosphere ya hewa nzuri kabisa. Kwa hivyo ni pale panajulikana na Nairobi wote. So watu wengi wanajua archive pale pa kukutana, lakini hawajui archive huko ndani.
Kenya fought for freedom, a freedom that costed the lives of many heroes and heroines. And each year, as we celebrate Mashujaa Day, Kenyans owe it to those shujaas to remember their struggle and make it worthwhile. For decades and generations, this building has been and will be the custodian of Kenya's history, despite many Kenyans underutilizing its resources and many not even aware of its existence. Hadia Mwasiwa for Switch TV.